Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 9 of Tamiya's US Aircraft Carrier Enterprise, CVN65. Scale is 1 to 350. In this part, I'm going to be working on the catwalk and placing on one or two little bits and pieces that go in there. Also turning my attention to start the island as well. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To begin with, I'm making up some of the hose rails that are dotted through the ship. There's a few to assemble, so what I've decided to do is take some of this masking tape and tape it to the bench and secure the parts onto it. This will just make it easier for assembly. They come in two halves, so the larger half will be placed onto the masking tape, like so. And once they're on and secure and added a tiny little bit of cement, it's time to add the top section. And they just fit on as think of it as a wheel. There's a little location point in the middle that goes into the stem or the axle of the hose reel. And the colour is Mr. Hobby 338 light grey for these. I should say I'm struggling to find the proper shades of grey. I really don't like mixing paint, and this is why I'm using a wide variety of manufacturers' paints. And this is why I do have a few manufacturers of paints, because I hate mixing paints. But I think there may be a case where I should start mixing them for this build. Next, I'm using Humbrol's 242 Dark Slate Grey, and these are for the blast shields that come up from the deck. Or thruster shields, whatever they're called, I'm not sure, but they protect the deck from the aircraft when they're taken off, and also helps with the thrust as well. Onto the command island, and I'm using Humbrol's 127 US Ghost Grey for the main colour here. There's quite a lot of area to paint here, but there's very intricate parts of it as well, so it's going to take a bit of time to paint. I'm just painting in the borders first before I go into a larger brush. It will take one or two coats, but I recommend doing painting it before assembling it, because you may run into trouble once it's assembled, just for ease of handling, obviously. And of course there's decals that are going to be going on as well. And then I'm using Humbrol's 87 Steel Grey, and this is for the actual platforms themselves, so any walk-on area will be getting the steel grey colour. So paint's dry, my attention goes to the windows. Now this kit doesn't come with any clear parts, so the windows are left open. I think it's better to have some sort of window in there, so I'm using micro crystal clear to form the windows, and this is the canopy glue that I use. And all I'm doing is placing it in the window opening until it all joins together, the white glue, and this will dry and leave a clear film, which then will act as the window. Now there's quite a lot to do here, but I'm simply using a toothpick and placing it in. Now you can brush it in as well, of course, but it can be a little bit tricky if you've got a lot to do. Just be patient with it, but the effects are really good once it's all dried. And try and do it from the inside as well. You want to leave the outside clear of any film that is going to be left over, so like a residual film. Try to avoid that. If you do get it, just wipe it off with a cloth. But be gentle, because you may actually remove the glue in the area you're trying to form the window. So as you can see there, I do have a little bit of overspill, so that will need to be cleaned off. And as I say, I'll just take a bit of kitchen towel here and wipe it down. Now some more has came off from the opening, so I'm going to just have to reapply that. It's not biggie, but it takes a bit of time. So it's back to the deck, and I'm now placing in the hose rails that I made up earlier. Now my hand is going to get in the way quite a lot here. There's tiny little location points around the edge here. You can just about make them out on the camera. Some areas have 3, some have 2 in them. It's just a matter of having a look and seeing exactly where they go before they go in. The the actual location points didn't need to be opened up any further than they actually were. Sometimes when you build these quits, you have to open up the hole a little bit more. These ones, thankfully, I didn't have to do. They just slotted right in without any fuss. I started off in the bow section, but each section does have a set of these hose reels going on. And as I'm walking down the ship, there's one or two little things to put on. So this is one of the little guns I'm putting on here. So there's two to go on. One of the barrels actually had broken off on one of these tiny little cannons. So just be very careful of that. They're easily snapped off. Next around the edges are the little life pods. Now, while I was doing this, I did notice that the deck hadn't fitted properly. Now, I've got suspicion I didn't put enough cement on, but in certain parts it did pop off. So I decided to take the deck back off. It just came off with a little bit of pressure. But you'll see in the later on that the deck is off, and that's the reason why. It wasn't any big major thing to replace it or take it off, tell you the truth. I just didn't like the fit of it, so I decided to take it off. In actual fact, I discovered it was easier to put these little life pods on before the deck goes on anyway, so it was a happy accident as such. So then I'm putting on the covers that I painted earlier on. They just slot in, and these have the added benefit of covering up the screws as well. Of course, you can have these raised if you want. There are support slats to assemble if you do want it raised, but I'm having them embedded in. Then it's back to Humbrol's 127 US Ghost Grey, and this part, the instructions are calling as an optical landing system, and it's a series of little lights that have to be painted onto it. So I'm using for this Tamiya's XF1 flat black. I'm using as the inner background color, and for the inner lights on this I'm using Tamiya's X7 red. They're just two tiny little dots within the area that I'm painting. The remainder is Tamiya's X14 Sky Blue for the remainder little lights or lenses. Now the instructions do call for a darker blue, which I did paint in, but you will barely able to see it on the black. So I decided to go a lighter blue. And then it's back to Mr. Hobby 338 light grey to paint this little light, I think it is. And then it was back to fit in more of these little light pods or containers, whatever you want to call them. There's quite a lot of these to place on. The best way to deal with all these tiny little parts is just pick a starting point and work your way down the deck or the catwalk area. Here I'm fitting the platform for the optical landing system. The deck is actually detached at this point. I'm just having it on here so that I know exactly where these points go, so they're not going to encroach onto the hull. But once the platform's on, then I can place on the main system itself. There's just a little location point on this platform for it to be pushed into. Sorry about the camera angle, but it's such a large shape, and I've got a limited amount of room. Next, I'm making up the automatic carrier control tower. This is the thing that puts in the safety measures when necessary. And it's a fairly easy build. It's just the main platform with two struts coming down. So as you can see, the deck is fully off now. So I've decided to take the opportunity, now I've got it back off, to place on the elevator platforms. Now I've decided to cement these in position, in the raised position. As I said on the earlier videos, they can go up and down, but the fit wasn't 100%. They were a little bit slack for my liking. I could have done things to make that easier, but I wanted the deck a flat deck anyway, so it's just a simple case of cementing these in. And they went in without too much fuss. Just try and get them level with the deck. That's the key thing here. You don't want too big a step. And while I've got the deck off, I can zoom in a little bit better on here, so you can see the hose, some more hose reels going in here. and then I'll add the blast protectors, the thrust protectors. I'm not exactly sure what these are called, but they just slot in quite easily. And once they're in, the next set of covers to put in is for the covers that activate the safety nets that pop up. This is where I'll finish part 9. All I've got left to do in this section is to fit the other elevator platforms. They go on exactly the same way as the first one I've shown you to put on, so there's no need to go in great detail really. They fit it in quite easily, just popped them in. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you like what you see, and if you like this build, why don't you subscribe to the channel? That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course, you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.